Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Loretta. Yes. I'm so excited about this show because it's one of those shows where we already have formed our opinion based on information that we currently have, and is usually biased, is usually political. So I wanted, when I heard about this, when this show's pitched, I said, I got to do it. One, I absolutely love it when the executive vice president and chief policy officer and head of strategic advocacy of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is my guest. Neil Bradley is super amazing. He gets it. He understands small business and big business, and of course, what's going on, and he understands it. So in the U.S., worker shortfall has emerged as a key factor driving persistent inflation and higher interest rates. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce and business leaders, they believe securing our borders and modernizing our immigration system can help us confront these challenges. So joining us to discuss is one of my favorite people in the U.S. government, and that is Neil Bradley, and he is here. Hi, Neil.
Hello, it's great to be with you again.
It's been a long time.
It has.
How's it going?
It's going great.
So you know what? When I started doing my,
I hope that things are well with you.
Things are magnificent. They are so amazing. We'll have to have a side conversation so I can tell you some of the stuff that's happening. You'll be so happy and proud.
That's great. I look forward to it.
So let's just jump right in, Neil, because I know you don't have that much time. So how is the worker shortage affecting businesses?
So think about it this way. In Tennessee, for example, for every 100 of those help wanted signs that you see, there are only 57 people looking for work. So even if we got everyone who is looking for work today into a job this afternoon, we would still have 40% of those help wanted signs that wouldn't go away. What's this translate into? Restaurants that have to close part of their dining facility because they just don't have enough staff. Manufacturers who can't meet demand. You know, we're in the middle of the summer. It's summer construction season. A lot of the construction companies can't meet demand because they don't have the staff. So whether it's healthcare, manufacturing, high tech, all of these industries are suffering because we just don't have enough workers.
And you know, and that's undeniable. Nobody can deny that with any amount of stats, because they're going to prove exactly what you're saying. So this is what I love about this conversation, and we're going to jump right in here now. So what solution is the U.S. Chamber? You guys, you have so much power and so much influence, but yet you have so much compassion and empathy too, Neil. I just want to put that out there. So what are you all offering to help with this situation?
Well, it's kind of one of those all of the above approaches. So, for example, for working parents, we really do need to improve accessibility to affordable childcare. For the formerly incarcerated, people who've paid their debts to society, there are a lot of barriers that we can remove to help them get into employment and help to support their livelihoods. Ultimately, at the end of the day, though, we're also going to have to address our broken immigration system. That includes the broken border and the failures that are occurring there, but it's also a broken legal system. Today, we have individuals around the world who've been waiting years, in some cases decades, for the permission to legally come, often to join family members here in the United States to live and work. And it's because Congress hasn't updated the system in over 40 years. And so it's like we're using 40-year-old computers. They don't work very well for what we're trying to do today, but yet we want the U.S. economy to run on a 40-year-old broken immigration system.
Wow, I knew you were going to come here and drive. That was a home run hit answer. I love that. And we're not saying that is a one all be all solution. We're saying that this is a solution, and then you're telling them why this is a solution, how all of us will benefit. So how will a modern pro-growth immigration system help address the chronic workforce issues plaguing many American employers today and other economic problems we're suffering from today, Neil? How can
Let me give you just two examples. We just wrapped up college graduation season. It's an awesome, happy time. People who've worked hard getting their college degrees. Every year, that includes hundreds of thousands of people who've come to the United States from other parts of the world to study. They're paying full tuition, but they're sitting in the classroom next to our sons and daughters, our neighbors and friends. Most of them, when they graduate, they want to stay in America. They want to build their lives and their careers here. But the U.S. government today, what we're saying to 90% of them is thanks, but no thanks. You know who's welcoming them with open arms? Canada and Australia and the United Kingdom. We can fix that. On the other end of the spectrum, there's a landscaping companies and seasonal resorts, places that rely on tourists where you're really busy for a few months of the year. In places like that, today, your ability to fill your workforce literally comes down to winning the lottery. The government, because demand so outstrips the number of people they're allowing to come in and legally work just for a short period of time, that employers have about a 1 in 4 chance of winning the lottery. Well, what happens to that hotel? What happens to that landscaping company if they don't get the workers that they need? If their number isn't drawn, that means they can't meet demand, that they can't help us in our local communities. And so those are just but 2 examples of things that we could fix if we could get Congress to come together and help start solving some of these problems.
Yeah, and to look beyond their own front door and their own reasonings or sensitivities to this issue, because it affects all of us, not just Republicans or Democrats. I don't believe it has a lot to do with politics. I think they're making it that, but as a country, we need to really look at this. So what can business owners and their customers do to help out?
Well, in some ways, you just said it, right? We got to call politicians to get beyond the politics, because you're right. It's not Republican or Democrat. Sometimes we need to remind the elected officials that, they work for us, the American people. And so that's why we launched this Liberty campaign, legal immigration, border enforcement reform this year campaign. And we have partners, over 430 of them across the United States, who have a simple message to Congress. Do your job. Help secure the border. Help modernize the legal immigration system. So viewers today can go to callingforliberty.org, callingforliberty.org, and you can learn more about this campaign. And most importantly, you can reach out to your elected officials and say, hey, this is America. We solve problems. We don't pass the buck. Let's just get on with the work. Let's get something done here.
Yeah, and Neil, I can see where some of the things they're saying, but it's a fluid problem. It's not just an isolated concern of ours. It's more than just trying to keep gun control and drugs and bad people out of here, but you're also, like anything else, you're making the good people suffer with the bad. And at that point, that's why we're seeing what we see, because we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Neil, you got to come on so we can have a longer conversation about this, because I really want to educate people and give them this information so they can make informed decisions on what they feel and how they feel and why they feel what they feel about border control. Can you do that for me?
I would love to do it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. And so our president here, Ted Townsend, said hello. He knows that you're going to be a guest again. And we got to get you to Memphis, because we're doing some fantastic work here for our small businesses and big business.
I hear that, and I'm looking forward to seeing it firsthand.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Have a great day. Thanks for everything you do.
Bye-bye. All right, so I just love it. So stay tuned, because the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, they are doing a mighty, mighty work. And Neil is an executive vice president, chief policy officer, and head of strategic advocacy for the United States Chamber of Commerce. And it's just going to get better, because my next guest, let me tell you about my next guest before I bring her on. My goodness, you're going to love her, Mallory Mitek. She is so amazing. And so what she's talking about, summer is officially here, right? And if you're like me, you're a homeowner and you want all the tips and tricks that you can get. So around the country, we're looking to refresh people around the country, not just here where I am, Mallory, but everybody wants to know how to refresh their backyard spaces, because especially with this outdoor living campaigns that all the stores have and all the sales. So we're getting ready for the months ahead. So you're joining us to discuss the year's top home improvement projects, along with some tips on sticking to a budget. Welcome, Mallory.
Well, thank you for having me on. And you are absolutely right. People are thinking outdoors these days when it comes to ways to improve their home.
Yes, I can assure you, I spend more time on my patio this year alone than I ever have outside because I'm not an outdoors girl. So, what are some of the top outdoor projects homeowners are undertaking this summer?
Yeah, so ahead of home improvement season, we asked Americans, hey, what are you doing in your backyards? And there were three projects that really rose to the top and were the top projects. One is adding a garden feature. And this one's a really interesting project. It's kind of varies on the type of garden feature, from like a water feature to maybe a seating area, all the way to just adding new garden beds. But this is something that has a lot of visual impact and really can change up the look of your space. The other two top projects were building raised beds and then adding new sod. And both of those are much more functional projects that are going to make your backyard, your yard space function better for you. Outside of those, we always see something that we see in Angie and our data is every single summertime, people are always looking at adding or refreshing their deck and their patio spaces. So I'll add that in there as another thing that Americans have top of mind when it comes to summer in their yards.
I'm so loving it. I love those pictures. I wish we could just see that a little more, but I have some more questions for you, a ton of questions, really. So do you have any tips to help homeowners stick to their budgets? Because I'm looking at not only doing my flower beds and maybe some kind of garden, but patio furniture and tools and just decor are so at the top of my list, but my budget is crazy right now. So what can I do?
Yeah, I think a great place to start is actually with a budget. There's so many times where when we're thinking about home improvement projects, we actually start with inspiration rather than a budget. And that means that we can set these things where our expectation of outcomes based on like what we see on social media or our neighbors or in retail stores doesn't actually align with our budget. Start with the budget first and then find inspiration that fits within that budget. Another great tip is if you have a long list of things to do and you're like, how can I maximize my budget? I want to do multiple things. This is the money that I have to dedicate to my backyard this year. Think about all the projects that can be done by one particular type of pro. Take a landscaper and then batch all those projects together so that you're hiring him once, but he can do multiple things. He or she wants to do multiple things. That way you're going to save a little bit on labor costs. And sometimes a pro will even throw a discount in there because you're batching a couple jobs for them. So that's a great way to kind of get the most when you're thinking of hiring. And then my last tip is, I think we've all experienced this where things come up when you are taking on a home project and that budget that you once had, even if you were on track, kind of gets thrown out the window as you have to immediately resolve a situation. I always recommend setting aside of your total project value 10% for these unexpected things that come up. That way, when it does, you're still able to maintain your budget and you don't have that additional stress of where is this going to come from? How am I going to be able to resolve this? So I think if you keep those things in mind, there's actually a lot you can achieve no matter your budget this summer.
See, I love that. And it kind of led over into my next question was, how do we know what to DIY and then what to get an expert for? Because some things I don't mind DIY, something in the house, nobody will see if it messes up, but outside on my coveted patio, I really need to hire a professional. So is that what I'm hearing you saying, or should we DIY something?
I've got it's a question we hear all the time at Angie, and I kind of have a great little test that I do. I ask myself, do I have the time, the tools, and the talent to do this project well? And you really need to have all three if you're going to have a good outcome. Sometimes I do have the talent or the wherewithal to be able to do it, but I don't want to dedicate my time. I'm putting a lot of priority on my time these days. I want to go travel. I want to see people. So sometimes time is that one that is in short supply. Other times, I just know that I don't have the skill to get it done to the level that I would like to. So I always think a great place to start, if you're kind of on that fence of, is this something I should take on myself or is this something I should hire a pro to do? Ask yourself, do I have the time, the tools, and the talent? It has not steered me wrong quite yet.
Times, tools, and talent, and then also the treasure part, the money part. So I think that's why a lot of people want to DIY. They think you're save money, but what I found is when I'm trying bigger things, I'm actually losing money because I should have just hired a professional instead of trying it, like, painting my kitchen cabinets. I know how from watching videos, but that does not ensure that my cabinets are going to look like I want them to look. So I like how you say knowing when, right? Knowing when to tap out before you lose a lot of money.
Yeah, we see that too.
So,
DIY projects actually have some pretty big costs associated with them, more than you'd think.
oh, honey, tremendous. Even up front, behind the scenes, you just don't understand going about all the stuff. So with Angie, we know you for finding a plumber or electrician or something like that. So I love how you're getting into outdoor things, not just the big major parts of a home ownership. So tell Angie, I know there's a person, tell her thank you for that. And thank you, Mallory, for coming on. Any other thing you can share with us? I think we have another minute or so. Any other tip on this DIY that we can do, though, that you think will be fail proof?
Yeah, I think there are some great projects that you can DIY. I think one of them are the kind of maintenance projects. They'll have a big impact. A great one that I think about is power washing. For me, I can go rent a power washer, and it's definitely something within my capability. And you have no idea how much a nice clean deck or a clean patio or clean siding look on your home. Huge impact. That's a great project to take on. But the bigger stuff, I say, leave it to the pros.
I agree with that. And you never know how dirty something is until you power wash it. I promise you never know how dirty it is. I had some questions. So they said remove shrubs against the house. Homes with water intrusion is caused by high interior floor. So should we always get a quote, even if we're going to do it ourselves? Shouldn't you get a quote just in case you want to change your mind or there is something happening that you like, it's going to cost me more money? Should we always at least get a quote?
Yes, I think it's a great place, even when you're thinking about your budget. So that's when you should bring in some local pros. They're going to let you know, like, is this a budget that, hiring someone is out of the question? And if you do decide to go that DIY route, if you've talked to pros before you start your project, you've already got a pro phone number, someone that knows you, so that you're not searching in that moment of that emergency or the moment when something has gone wrong. So I always think it is a good idea, especially if you're like, I might not know how to do this, to have that pro number handy, to have already had a conversation so they know you, your project, your scope, a little bit about your home, and can jump right in when they need to.
Yeah, and sometimes they're understanding that you were trying to do it yourself, and they offer some advice, and they come over and maybe say, this is what, maybe where it was a fail. You could have did it this way, but we're glad you're here. So where can we go for more information about these should we or not DIY? And if we do, who to call?
Yeah, absolutely. So Angie.com is a great for all the kind of the inspiration tips you might need. And then also when you're ready to make that hiring decision and are ready to talk to some local pros, Angie.com, we have you covered. And if you're like me and spend a lot of time on your phone, we also have a great app that has all those same resources.
Yes. Okay, we just go to our App Store, Play Store, or iOS Store and find Angie's app. Incredible. Thank you, Mallory, so much. I hope you'll come again. I'm already ready to get on the list just to have somebody on my speed dial when my next project goes bad or slow.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, come back anytime. All right, so that was Mallory with Angie. People know it's Angie's List. They kind of changed it and shortened it to Angie, ANGI.com. And it has truly changed a lot. It's not just where to get the best plumber, where to get the electrician in your area. It has so much more detail. So I'm glad, being a homeowner, you don't have to do it by yourself. And I love these resources, and I love sharing resources and connections. Neil Bradley, really, I can't wait till he comes back so we can really dive deeper into the Liberty Initiative about the border and getting workforce people in and people to help our businesses stay afloat. Because let me tell you, this economy, we're going to need some help. We're going to need some help. Inflation, everybody's talking about that. So I just want to make sure I'm doing my part to arm you with the best information so that you can make informed decisions. So let me tell you this, honey. I am so in love with this new season that we are working on for the Loretta McNary Show, getting ready to come back on all the networks across the country in a few weeks. Yeah, probably 1st of September, we'll be back on. Everybody's on hiatus. All the national shows take a break and get this new season because September is sweeps. That means that Nielsen Ratings is looking for the hottest and the best everything on TV. And you may get a call or email or a card in the mail that asks you, what are you watching on TV if you've heard of these shows? And then you can write in Loretta McNary Show if Nielsen Ratings calls you, so you'll know. And to honor what I'm asking you to do, I want to make sure that I am producing shows that are top quality, engaging, entertaining, informative, inspiring, motivating, and all that good stuff. So just stay tuned. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us everywhere, and engage with us. That's one thing we're doing. We're having after show parties where we get to talk to everybody after the show. And I see that King's Limousine Party Bus was on with us today. Laura Alexander was on commenting. So make sure you follow us so you can read it and participate. And then she is so a part of the Loretta McNary show, Marsha Claiborne. She's here and she said, yes, very informative information. I can always count on her. I think she's biased because she's like my little sister. We've just been together for years and years and years. She's been so consistent in this with this show thing with me. So Marsha, thank you so much for your friendship and your support and your sistership. I respect that and I love it so much. So we are doing this, everybody. The takeover is real. The takeover is real and I can't do it without you. So from the top and bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all of your support, for sharing and watching and praying and commenting. It means a lot because there is no show without you. So in closing, what do we do? What do we say? Come on, you can do it with me. It is so empowering. Think positive, dream big dreams, help someone along the way to do the same. And guess what? We'll see you next time on the other side of good and success.
Your life live today, have your troubles away, maybe learn another way.